No one saw this coming. Massive Devils injury update. Little steps lead to a meaningful step. Gives a little bit more of a clear image of what's to come. Welcome in to Devils Digest. Feel free to click the subscribe button. Injury news. Jonas Siegenthaler on the ice today. No equipment, in a jumpsuit. Sheldon Keefe calling it very preliminary. Look, obviously, it's been a little bit since Jonas Siegenthaler's been in the lineup. He hasn't played since the beginning of February. We don't have a ton of information on it. We knew that when it happened and as it kept going on, that he was going to be out for a little bit, potentially the rest of the regular season and playoffs. That's not confirmed in terms of playoffs, whether he's going to miss, a round or 2 rounds or the whole entire playoffs, depending on how far the Devils go. But a little bit of a step in the right direction. The first step, getting back on the ice. We haven't gotten a ton of information on, what exactly the injury is, how he's doing. This is kind of the first little piece since the injury happened, besides that, he's going to be out for a while. We don't know how long. He's going to be out for a while. Going to be out probably a little bit longer than Dougie Hamilton. We know the injury news on Dougie Hamilton yesterday looked pretty good. We feel a little bit more optimistic about him returning sooner rather than later. Jonas Siegenthaler, well, we're seeing a little bit of the same thing. He's just behind Dougie Hamilton. He's on the ice. He's skating. No equipment, not with the team. Obviously, no contact. But he's on the ice skating. Look, that was a step that he had to take at some point. And to know that he's doing it before the playoffs start, before the regular season ends, it's something to at least look into and give a little bit more of an optimistic feel. Could he return this season? Could he be available sometime round 1, round 2? Now, round 1, we might be kind of thinking a little bit, too optimistically, considering he just started skating. He's not using any equipment, no contact. It's a little bit more of an optimistic thinking. But, we don't know completely the details on it. Obviously, we saw Sergachev come back last year, round 1. So I'd say never rule out anything, especially when we don't have a lot on the topic. I mean, I can come on here and talk about, this is when he's going to come back. This is the injury. This is what the doctor says. Unfortunately, we don't have that information. So right now, we have to look at what we have. What we have is he's on the ice. He's skating. He wasn't skating before. He was going to be longer than Dougie Hamilton. So when I look at those things, I look at where Dougie Hamilton's out. Looks like a potential round 1 addition to this team, which, obviously be very nice. And then I look at Jonas Siegenthaler. He's skating. Going to be out longer than Dougie Hamilton. Round 2, maybe a little bit more feeling good toward that. But from what we know right now, just skating, nothing huge with it. But at least, he's taken that step because he wasn't skating. And now at least he's on the ice. He's good enough to be skating and he's good enough to be, moving around. So those are, I guess, good steps here in the rehab process. But, with this, we at least should look at the Devils' pairings right now heading into the playoffs. Because from what we've seen so far, Jonas Siegenthaler has not been said to play in the first round of the playoffs, and it's not been confirmed that he's out either. So, we'll look at the lines right now. You go down it, Luke Hughes, Brett Pesce, Brian Dumoulin, Kovacevic, Seamus, Casey, and Brenden, Dillon finish it out. Look, Dougie Hamilton could be back, but let's just say, for, argument's sake, that he's not back, and this is the defense that you're going into the playoffs with. Well, you go over and you look at the Carolina team. And Carolina, you know what? Good offense, tremendous defensively. Goaltending sometimes doesn't show up. But I look at that Carolina team and I kind of say, in terms of playing style, they play the same game no matter what. Personnel, they, don't worry about as much. or, you know, they're quick to switch off. You know, whether they have a 40-goal scorer in the lineup, whether they have, you know, a third liner who's maybe a little bit better in their own end, they play the same game. They rely heavily on the analytics. They like the expected goals for. They like the expected goals against. So they're going to play the same style no matter the personnel in the lineup. Now, I look at where the Devils fit. They're a good defensive team. The personnel that they have on defense lets up less chances. They're good on the penalty kill. They give their goaltenders a chance to have, you know, a top 5 goaltending tandem, which the Devils, I think, have. Top 5, top 10. You know, I think they're definitely, you put argument on either one, go ahead. But when I look at this team, I think the biggest need, and I feel like it's pretty, you know, glaringly obvious, is they need more offense from the back end. Defensively, they do a really good job. You know, Brian Dumoulin has been a pretty good addition. Brenden Dillon adds some more physicality. Brett Pesce, we know why. We gave him that contract for a reason. He's been awesome. So when I look at this Devils defense and I see there's no Dougie Hamilton. I see the report on Jonas Siegenthaler might be a little bit longer. You feel good defensively. But offensively, transitional game, limited. They're limited in both of those aspects. And we know how good Carolina is, you know, playing defense. That's what Carolina does best. I mean, Frederik Andersen, say what you want about him. Maybe, you know, not a top goaltender. Maybe more in that, you know, maybe 15 to 18 class, 14 to 18 class in terms of as a goaltender in this league. They don't allow a ton of chances. That's why maybe they spend a little bit less at goaltending, while they don't make many changes at goaltending. I mean, whether they start Kochetkov or Anderson, they play the same game. It's the same type of style. It's the same type of less chances. And they kind of go, you know, chance for chance in that way. So when I look at the Devils team and I look at the Devils defense, defensively, they feel good. Can they match Carolina? They might be a little bit undermatched in terms of amount of chances they're going to give up. But when I really look at the problem with the defense, it's more so the type of offense that they create. They don't create a ton of offense. They don't have, you know, they have Luke Hughes, who's developed nicely and been a good player this year, made some nice steps, but they don't have, you know, that number 2 punch on defense. They don't get that extra offense that I think in a series like Carolina you need. So it's good news on the Dougie Hamilton front. You're hoping that Jonas Siegenthaler keeps taking those steps in the right direction. We'll wait. We'll keep you guys updated on that. But from what we have on Siegenthaler, he's skating. Dougie Hamilton seems a little bit closer to returning. Hopefully he can return. Let me know on that. Let me know what you guys think is a need for the Devils on defense heading in this series against Carolina, because that is all set up. We'll get a matchup breakdown later on, and hopefully you guys hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys all real soon. All right, guys.